All right, I'm Walton Ferguson,
I'm Eleanor Covington.
I'm Johanna Earhart.
and we're here at my trailer in Gentilly Trailer Park. And we've actually, well, it's no secret, we've already made everything, and we're filming this at the end. But we are trying to focus on the theme of simplicity, not necessarily doing things in like a really quick fashion, but making things that the ingredients are not necessarily historically hard to come by, right? In multiple different cultures, both ours and others. So what are we going to make?
We have part of our entree is going to be the salmon, which will have a nice little miso glaze. And we chose miso just because it's not necessarily something that a lot of people use, but it is a very versatile ingredient and very easy to use, so simple in preparation.
In addition to the salmon as our main entree, we also decided to cook some grits as one of our sides. Grits being a very sort of simple food that would have been maybe accessible like to farmers. It's very iconic to the South. And in addition to that, we also decided to cook some vegetables. So we decided to make roasted carrots. We've put some salt and pepper and olive oil on them. And then we're also going to make some bok choy sauteed with garlic and other seasonings like soy sauce and such. And then the last thing we decided to make was a dessert. So we were making bread pudding, which is a very simply made dessert. It's got, you just use bread and you add sort of a custard mixture of like eggs and milk to it and some other like sugar obviously. And then you bake it. It's a very simple dessert. So yeah, let's get started. So here we have the spread of our ingredients and some of our materials laid out before we get started. We began the day, we had some tea, just some green tea to get us going. Thank you, Walton, for that. We have lots of seasonings. We've got our bread for the bread pudding, our bok choy, grits. We have some garlic and shallots. We've got more seasoning and olive oil. In the fridge, we have our salmon. And then over here, we have our pots and pans that we're going to use.
All right, Eleanor, what are we doing?
So right now we are preparing the sort of custard sauce that goes on the bread pudding. So we're measuring out milk. We've got 1/3 cup of sugar that we're adding here. Next, we're going to be adding some vanilla. So I've got to check the ingredients. 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. And then we're going to add salt and butter, and we're going to let that cook. And then until the butter melts, and then once we have melted butter, then you let it cool. You cook it for a couple more minutes, and then we're going to like pour it over the bread.
Yes. And Johanna is tearing up the bread.
Yes, we're tearing up bread, which is going to go into our buttered pan. And then the milk mixture is going to go right over it.
Yes. And then we will put it in the oven.
We're now whisking the eggs into the mixture to make the sort of custard, and then we're gonna pour it over the bread. So, here, do y'all think it's done, or do you think it's whisked up pretty good?
I think it's
Okay.
whisked,
I think that's
whisked ready.
That's pretty much it. So let's pour it.
Beautiful.
Trying to like, I don't know, get it all even in there. But... All right, there's our bread pudding, and now it's gonna go in the oven to bake. So, what'd you say?
We should do a cool transition.
We should. Upper or lower? What do you think?
Yeah, upper's fine.
It'll get
I'm gonna need the. Yeah, I can just put this on the spoon and then sprinkle it over. You know. So we're adding. We're seasoning our carrots. I've already put on olive oil. Now we're adding some crushed black pepper. It kind of is falling everywhere, but it's okay. We're gonna scoot it around, and then we're gonna add some salt. Just sort of roasting veggies. I'm using a spoon because it's what we have available. Yeah, hopefully they're gonna taste pretty good. They're
So we're gonna make like a miso glaze for the salmon, which we have some miso paste, and we're gonna add some honey exactly sure how much that was. And some soy sauce. And then a little bit of water to make it more fluid, and then we're just gonna stir it up and cover the salmon.
All right.
Okay, we're covering the salmon in the miso mixture. I ended up adding more honey and
Sounds
some
good.
ginger powder as well. Kind of. Now we're putting in the salmon right next to the carrots.
Alright, so I'm going to add the bok choy, just sort of covering the pan. The recipe that we're using is pretty vague, but I guess it gives us lots of freedom. So that's good. So we're starting to boil the water that we will use for the grits, which these are not instant grits, these are stone ground grits. I would assume so anyway. But yeah, these should be done in about 15 minutes. Once the water's boiled, we'll just add them in. Alright, we just added the grits and I'm stirring them into the water. I'll also add a pinch of salt. And then we will let it sit for 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, probably just 15. And then we will add some butter and a little bit of sugar.
Okay, so we're taking out the salmon. It should be done. We're gonna leave the carrots in for a few more minutes.
I can take this out and put it here.
Perfect. And here are the carrots.
Yeah.
So we can.
You're waiting on the grits. Bok choy is ready. Salmon is ready. Carrots are ready, and the bread pudding is ready. All right, so it looks like our grits are done. They're the right consistency. And everything else is done too. So I think it's time for us to dig in.
Alright, everything is ready. Gonna get some grits and some bok choy. I guess you could say this is kind of like a fusion of different
Cultures, yeah.
different cultures, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, just getting some. Sorry, I went in a different direction. They're good.
Are they?
I like them. They're good. They do taste a bit sweet because you put in sugar, which is different from what I'm used to, but not bad. So I might add salt and pepper though, just because that's kind of what I'm used to.
Ooh, I like them sweet. They're not that sweet. They're just like lightly sweet.
Yeah.
Really sweet. The salmon, by the way, is super great.
You like it?
Mhm.
I do.
I like it too.
It's good.
Yes, I'm very interested in this miso.
So good, and you can make so many things with it.
Where do you buy it?
The Asian store, I guess, is the Asian supermarket. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just Asian supermarket is
Yeah.
the name. Have you been there?
We're trying to put together a trip there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I'll go. Love that place.
They have a restaurant in there too. Taste of Asia. It's wonderful.
It's so good, yeah. We went.
So like the idea to the camera too
Yeah.
was that we wanted to do things that were relatively simple. Say that like people who may not have access to a lot, depending on where they're from, if they may not have access to a lot, that they can still eat something good. With the grits was the first thing that came to mind. That's sort of a thing along with cornbread that you could make with, like farmers would probably make that with the corn that they were already growing in addition to other corn-based things. If I'm not mistaken, the bok choy is sort of like a collard green type of dish that's eaten in other parts of the world. And then the carrots are also just a staple vegetable. It's very simple to make. And the same with the salmon. And also we decided to eat fish per recommendation of the aquaculture lady who visited us, Miss Molly Smith, who visited us this past week.
And I would say that a lot of the time when like people think of simple food, they think of just food they can get quickly, which is true, but like not in the sense of fast food, I guess. So like carrots, bok choy, all of this, doing it all at once took a while, but I think any one of these things comes together very fast. So that's in that sense it's very simple as well.
Yeah. Similar with what we're gonna have featured next is the bread pudding. It's our dessert. Or did you not want to spoil it?
I forgot about it.
Oh, you forgot. Oh, yeah. So we have bread pudding, and we are going to. That's another like simple dessert that's made from household ingredients, because the idea is you take stale bread and you coat it with like this mixture, a custard-like mixture of egg, milk, etc., and then you bake it. And so once again, another very simple dessert, ingredients you can find at home. But this was also our first time, or my first time making bread pudding, so it's really fun to try that out. In fact, this is also like my first time having homemade roasted carrots. So, and I actually surprisingly really, really like them. I didn't think I would, but I actually really do. So, I'm happy.
It's a good day.
I really like it. The biggest surprise for me is the roasted carrots. I was telling Johanna that for a long time I was a carrot hater. I didn't like carrots, but I had only ever had them served to me as like baby carrots raw, or as like carrots from a can cooked in a pot. And once I discovered eventually that like they taste good cooked in dishes, like in stews or in stir fry or curry. But I'd never made them roasted myself like this, and I tried it, and it's actually really good. I'm gonna try and make it now. Now that I've discovered, okay, I actually really like that because they're healthy.
I agree. I think especially like in the oven, they have a very roasty.
I also love the salmon. In the grits. I like the bok choy. The bok choy is not my favorite just because it's kind of hard to eat if it's so big. And also, yeah, and also it's a little bitter, but like it's still, what do you expect? Like that part, that's the hard part to eat is the stalk. The leaves are like easy to eat and like have a decent flavor, like a good flavor, but this is the other part. But I still like it. Like, we still did a good job, I think. I added some more red pepper flakes because I like my food spicy. But
I think overall, it's all very good. It's a very food doesn't have to be a complicated thing. It definitely can be, and there's probably a lot of benefits to that. Especially when you go to some of the bigger restaurants and you want to try interesting combinations of different kinds of foods or whatever. But I really enjoyed what we made. I think it was, it's very cool. It's a very cool way to look at how to simply make food or source food simply. I guess. I know we use like Quaker oats or whatever, but the premise of it, is that it's a simply sourced and like historically it's been easy to get your hands on these kinds of things. Bok choy, maybe not America, but
Maybe, same with the miso, but I guess in that way it's simple because you can make a lot of things with miso. So you have that one ingredient. You have lots of different varieties.
plus, in like other cultures, bok choy is eaten in a lot of Asian countries. Same with the like with miso. So maybe not like looking beyond just like the South, because some of the options we chose, like bread pudding and grits, are very much like Southern American foods. I think it was nice that we like tried to incorporate a variety of like cultures and places. So we have things that it's a nice wide variety of flavors, but also we have all of the food groups. We've got carbs, protein, we've got vegetables. So yeah, it's good.
A balanced meal. I think I'm gonna start making grits now. You're
Huh?
good.
Grits
I
are
like
good.
them.
You gotta try cheese grits.
I will. Ooh,
Wow.
this is good.
It is good.
Very cinnamony.
Alright, so this is the bread pudding now. Pretty much a two-step meal. Well, not a meal. But you take bread, rip it up, pour custard over it, and put it in the oven. So again, a very simple thing that you can make with not a lot of ingredients, stuff that a lot of people would have had just around their house. And I think this is pretty not just an American thing. I'm not sure. I know we have the Irish Bread Pub, bread being B-R-E-D, and they serve bread pudding there. This is, yeah. So I don't know if.
I think they eat it in Europe too, or at least have very similar dishes. Definitely, I think also in England. But yeah, I mean it's bread pudding. It's good.
Essentially, almost French toast, just in a different form.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the goals of this activity was not only to practice cooking something and to try something new, but also to sort of build connections with other students in our class. And I really loved this experience because I got to know both of my classmates better than I think I would have if I hadn't had this opportunity. And it was really fun to just spend an afternoon, cooking these dishes, trying things that we hadn't tried before, planning, working on it together, and then eating it together. And it really was a great experience. And I think in terms of, some of the theme that we chose to focus on being like simplicity and looking at like simple ingredients, that was a really good option because it allowed us to cook a lot of things. Like we made several different like sides, including and an entree of the salmon, so and a dessert. So getting to do that was, I think, combining all these people together, something that could have been really simple. We took all these small elements and made it into something a lot bigger. So
I agree with that.
And talk about something that's a lot more simple than I think people realize is doing stuff like this, like having people over and like making something and talking with people. We talked about in the city, with all the city planning stuff, that we tend to be separated a lot more, I think, than other cultures maybe, or maybe even we could have been had we lived in another time. But there's something very simple about doing this kind of thing, about preparing things that aren't frozen, that aren't, well, the salmon was frozen, but like,
that's okay.
yeah.
It's okay.
I'm talking about
Fresh
like
salmon
TV
is so
meals,
expensive.
like preparing things together and just talking. I mean, it's definitely brightened my day.
Yes.
So that really brings the theme together, I think. But that's everything.
Thank you. Ooh, we're done. I don't know if we'll keep the clapping in. Are we just applauding ourselves, applauding the audience?